Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am going to be talking about all things Caspar David Friedrich. I went to his show recently at the Metropolitan here in New York City, had a little art date with myself, and for those of you who do not know him, he was a German landscape painter, and actually he did a tremendous amount of drawing as well. Very interesting character, and I had so much fun. I took myself up to the museum. I brought some supplies for sketching, took in the incredible exhibit, which is just here for a limited period of time through May 11th. I'll put the link into the description below so that if anybody's interested, you guys can go and check it out. But I plan to just do a quick little overview of Friedrich, what I saw, and some tips in terms of sketching on location at a museum, which is not for the faint of heart, and would love to hear any feedback if you guys have tried to do this yourself. Without further ado, let's dive in. Caspar David Friedrich was born in 1774 in Greifswald, Germany, and he had not an easy childhood. Both of his parents died before he was 14, so he's like a Disney character that overcomes despite all the odds. So you get this melancholy throughout much of his work, and you can certainly see that in some of his most famous paintings. And that absolutely comes through in the show that I took in this week. There is a certain moodiness, but also some really beautiful work. I was also just taken by the fact that he has this awe of nature, and not in a sunny, happy way. A lot of the works are showing ruins and natural phenomena that are so much bigger in scale than the humans that occupy the landscapes that he is describing. And I think that maybe some of that comes from a kind of a hard beginning to his life. So I'm going out on a limb here. I don't really know what I'm talking about. But I encourage you, if you do know what you're talking about and you've studied Friedrich before, please comment in the link below and let us know if there's anything else we should. Obviously, there's 1,000 more things we could do. I did pick up the book at the exhibit, and it is packed full of some really, frankly, just beautiful reproductions of the work, but also some context for some of the art, which I really appreciated as well. I spent a great deal of time with Wanderer Above a Sea of Fog, which is one of his most iconic pieces for good reason. It may not be the most famous. I wonder if maybe there are some others that are just as famous, but I really think this one is interesting, partly because the picture is so, for me, quintessentially modern. So as you can see, it is a character, a sort of solitary person standing up on some kind of ridge or mountain, viewing this incredible expanse of mountains and fog, and the valleys aren't really visible, and it just seems like you're alone in the universe. I feel the image, even though it's 150, 200 years old, 1775, oh my God, that's 250 years ago. Even though it is 250 years old, the posture and the sort of it's called the Rückenfigur, or Rückenfigur. It's terrible German. It is I feel like it's straight out of Instagram. It is very much this person having this experience that you are observing and putting yourself in their shoes. And this is a tool that he uses quite a lot in his work. And you'll see it again and again, these characters who we don't see their faces, we just see them experiencing these vast, incredible landscapes that are just so awe-inspiring. And so in that way, I feel like he was providing the same thing that a travel influencer on Instagram provides today. And he went out into the mountains and had these crazy experiences, and then came back and recreated the feeling in his studio and put them up for the world to see. So very fun to experience that one in particular. I also took the time there to do a little sketching of my own. When I arrived, there was already somebody sitting at the bench in front, and so we had a nice chat, and then he wrapped up and went on his way. I think I can track down his Instagram handle, which I will share below, because he clearly does these master studies at the Metropolitan pretty frequently. And so definitely worth checking him out. It's fun. And I sat down and did my little sketch. I actually did two, just very quickly, just with pencil. And I think the reason that we do this is because it just forces you to really see what you're looking at. And I know that sounds obvious, but it really, when you draw something, you really slow down and appreciate the details. I was really looking for value and shape, and it was interesting. I did the figure and then I had to do it again because I felt as though I hadn't gotten the body dimensions correctly. He's in a really interesting sort of shape, which is not a typical sort of, obviously not head on because he's facing away. He's got one leg up. He's wearing a very sort of smart suit, very fancy person I just have to assume, although maybe that's just the way people dressed back then. And I really spent some time observing, and I think that's what those master copies are really about. There's something very satisfying about exploring more intensely the work that you have come to see. And so that was all really wonderful. So if you're interested in sketching at the Met, there are a few rules that you will need to follow. I've done a little research on this because I have made the mistake so many times of bringing my supplies, like a huge bag of all my paints and all my markers and all this stuff. And guess what? None of it is allowed. You are not allowed to use that stuff at the Metropolitan. So do yourself a favor, do not break your back because it'll be a long day. It is a giant museum, as you guys probably already know. And so you really do want to travel light and bring just a sketchbook and a pencil if possible, and maybe some sort of sharpener that captures its own shavings. So yeah, you are welcome to sketch with pencil, no wet media. And although I will say that there is one exception that I've always been intrigued by, there's something called the Master Copy Program. And people have been able to apply and devote a significant time of their time basically copying a work of their choice ever since 1872, which is back to the early days of the museum. I will leave the program link in the description. And just to note, they accept applications twice a year for an 8-week period. And it's just it's a cool program. And I've seen people doing the work, coming in, setting up with their palettes and really doing like a more in-depth, real, true copy. And so that's an interesting program to look at. And you may see people around the museum doing that themselves, but know that they have applied for and been accepted into a program where that's allowed. Otherwise, it's really just pencils. And to prepare you, people will look at your art. They will comment on your art. Sometimes they will not appreciate your art. I've had all of that happen in different museum situations before, but I am not dissuaded. I am not deterred. I continue to create my pencil sketches, whether they are good or bad, and sometimes they're great and sometimes they are terrible, and that's just the way that it is. And I'm still adjusting to both plein air and just in general. I don't think that if we're sketching in a museum, it's considered plein air, but doing things in front of other people can be a little daunting and distracting. Sometimes I feel like that's not where I create my best art, but at the same time, I get value out of it. And even if the final pieces are not that great, I'm definitely learning something with each of those expeditions. And so I highly recommend it. I think it's really fun. It's fun to get out there and be curious. It's great to learn from the old masters. It's a wonderful excuse to just get yourself out of the apartment and into the world and take yourself on an art date. I don't know if you guys read The Artist's Way, but that's one of the critical things that is part of that sort of formula is taking yourself on a weekly art date. And I don't always get to it, but when I do, I'm always glad that I have. It's awesome to go with friends to do it, but even if a friend is not available, I recommend creating the space because it pushes you in ways that maybe you can benefit from. So definitely check it out. If you actually want to do something more ambitious, check out the Copyist program at the Metropolitan and comment below if you have done some sketching, if you've had a particularly good experience or even better, a bad experience in some museum somewhere. Would love to hear about it. I will say that there are some places where they get very serious. I think the Norton Simon Museum, which I like it, but they are also an only pencil place. And my sister and I went recently, not that recently, it's probably a couple years ago, but we went and we sat in the garden and we thought that we could use our watercolor in the garden. And we got in so much trouble. The guard followed us and then we moved. We thought if we hid, it would be okay. No wet media at the Norton Simon. Message received. We've been back since and we've done pencil sketches and it's been great. But definitely do not bring watercolor to the Norton Simon either. Okay, this is a total aside, but just know that's something to know about. So anyway, share below if you have any other experiences with sketching on location, if there's been a program that you've been a part of. Sometimes I feel like the Getty has a really cool program where they have these kind of drawing desks and chairs that are all in one, and periodically they have actual classes in the galleries. I've never done that, but I've always thought that looked really cool and promising too. Let me know what you think of that. Here's the spread that I ended up with. I couldn't resist trying a few more before I left the museum. So I went to the permanent collection and found some beautiful landscapes and figures. This page includes now the Van Gogh and as well as a Cézanne landscape that I just was attracted to. And as I was wandering around after taking in the first exhibit, just wanted to add a little bit and fill out that page. And again, doing this for me is a way to deepen my understanding of an artist's approach, of the way that they think about color, the way they think about value. And I definitely recommend taking the time to do that. I think it's a game changer for developing your skills and practice. So before I wrap up, I definitely want to hear from you all. What speaks to you, if anything? Maybe you can't stand Caspar David Friedrich. That would be totally okay too. I'd love to hear your take if that's the case. But if this is new or if you have a particular question, please comment below. I'd definitely love to hear if there are other artists that you would like to explore, that you want me to explore. I love that kind of recommendation of just landscape artists that have made an impact on you in your life. I have a little list and I'll probably be going through them in the future, maybe in groups or in solo coverage, let's call it, just because I enjoy learning so much about these artists, and one way to do it is master study, and another way is to make a video or to go on a pilgrimage to some kind of art experience, whether it's a gallery in some faraway place or next door, and to try to think about how to describe it to this whole crew. So thank you so much for watching and for exploring art with me. This show will be up at the Metropolitan through May 11th, so there's definitely still more than a month to track down the show and get in there before it ends. And just thanks so much for joining me today. Please do subscribe and comment below. Each of those actions really does help me to understand what is resonating with you all. And I appreciate that. It makes a huge difference. I really am enjoying doing these videos and I enjoy engaging with people. This is like my third video. I've already gotten some really nice comments, which I am so thankful for. And I want to keep going. So please do let me know your thoughts. I will continue to do some sketchbook flip throughs, maybe some process videos, definitely more of these sort of exploring New York City. I really want to feel like I'm making the most of this city. Sometimes I feel, maybe this is like since COVID, I've gotten a little lazy. We tend to spend a lot of time at home. I do get out for exercise, but I don't necessarily make the most of being in New York City. And so part of the goal for this channel is to really get out there and to really take in the art, bring you with me, and experience it for myself and see how I can learn from it to apply to my own practice. So come on this journey with me and we will have a great time. So thanks so much. Talk soon.